Stop settling for granny stitch blankets with messy edges and mismatched ends. Today I'm going to show you the perfect start to finish method where your first row looks exactly like your last. No border required, no yarn wasted, and the ultimate way to clear out your stash. Hi, it's Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous Perfect Start Granny Square blanket. So just granny stitches in a row, and it is a fantastic pattern. It is where your first row matches your last row, so both ends of your blanket look fantastic. It has super straight edges and a one-row repeat, so you can really enjoy the therapeutic benefits of crochet with this pattern. Plus, it's a perfect stash buster. Grab 6 colors of yarn, half a ball of white, and just crochet rows of each color until you run out of yarn. So you can use up 6 balls of yarn. The finished size of my blanket is 36 inches across by 51 inches tall. To make your Perfect Start Granny Stitch a blanket, you'll need yarn, and of course you could use any yarn you have as long as it matches, and you could just use whatever hook size is recommended on your yarn label. For me, I'm using Favorite from Ice Yarns. It is a size 4 worsted weight yarn, but it's on the thin side. It's also very much like a 3 weight, so whatever yarn you have on hand is fine. I used 6 balls, like 1 ball of each color, and I just crocheted the whole ball. So each color is a different amount of rows. I didn't get much with this yellow, with the orange, and I got a lot with the turquoise. So it just depends on your yarn, but I just used up each ball of yarn right to the end. And then with the scraps of yarn, of course, I started the crochet along for 2026. We're making a granny square from each color of yarn that we are using this year. So that's another fun crochet along project if you want to use up your scraps of yarn that are not enough to finish a row. So each 100-gram ball of yarn has 210 meters if you want the exact yarn that I'm using. I also use some Softly Baby, so depending on whatever yarn, just use the same kind of thickness. I'm using a 6mm crochet hook for this project. If you're using a thicker yarn, like a real size 4 worsted weight, you'll probably need to use a bigger hook, like a 7mm. You'll also need a needle for sewing in your ends and a pair of scissors. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. So grab your first color of yarn, and we're just going to start by making a chain. So make a slip knot any which way you normally do. Leave a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Shrink that down and pop it on to your hook. And now we're going to chain multiples of 3. For my blanket, I chained 105, but you could chain any multiple of 3, any width that you like. Just remember what that number is. So you can't just count like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to have to know the number because we're going to need that for the next step. So find a number divisible by 3. For my blanket, I chained 105. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be making a shorter sample for you. So I'm just going to chain 21. 1, 2, 3. If you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. So your chain is going to be longer than mine. If you're a tight chainer, you can go ahead and use a larger hook to make this chain, but if you just crochet or just chain in a relaxed fashion, it's going to be just fine. So there's your multiple of 3, and you're going to know what number you have for this. For me, I have 21. Now I'm going to go ahead and chain 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches or chains. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work into the 4th, and it doesn't matter if you go into just 1 strand or 2 strands or into a back loop. It doesn't matter. No one is going to see it. To just wrap your yarn and into the 4th chain from your hook, just pop your hook in and make 1 double crochet. Now we're going to work around our chain, and we're going to do the same number as we did of our chain. So our multiple of 3, but plus 1. So for me, I did 21 for this sample, so I'm going to make 22 double crochets around the chain. And for my blanket, I did 105, so I would do 106 double crochets around the chain. So just wrap your yarn, and we're just going to work around the chain. So just put your hook under the chain and bring your yarn back, and just start your double crochet and finish your double crochet. So wrap your yarn around that whole chain. So it doesn't matter how spaced out they are, how close together they are. All that matters is that you're doing your stitch number, your multiple number, plus 1. So if you want to follow along with the written pattern, there is a spot in the pattern to write all of this information down so you can keep track of it, especially if you're going to be making more of these in the future. It's easy to keep track in the written pattern. So pause the video, make your same multiple of 3 double crochets around the chain, and make 1 extra one, and I'll meet you when you have made all of your double crochets around that chain. 20 and 21. So there is my 21 double crochets. If you want to count, remember that double crochet we made into the chain doesn't count. So just don't count the chain and that first stitch, and you need the right number of these stitches after. So I need 22. So there is my 22 double crochets around the chain, not including that first stitch and our chain from the very beginning. So not counting those. Your multiple plus 1 more around your chain. Now go ahead, chain 2, and find that very first chain we made right up here. We're just going to slip stitch into that first chain. So slip stitch into the first chain and chain 2. So our work is like this. We're at the end of our row. Don't worry about the spacing. You can slide them around if you feel like it, but it'll sort itself out in the next round or the next row. And now we're just going to rotate our work. So we're just going to turn it. We're not flipping it. We're just spinning it around. We want that chain facing up now, or where our hook is going to be. We're going to work along that chain on the opposite side. So our chain counts as a stitch. So we're going to slide 2 stitches over. So that is our set of 3 right there to start. And we're going to jump over and make our 3 double crochets right after. So around the chain after those first stitches. So 3 double crochets around the chain. That. Slide 3 more stitches over and make 3 double crochets around the chain. We're just going to be doing this all the way along, making our sets of 3. And it's also going to help our stitches space out and start to behave. So slide 3 more over to make a space for our stitches around that chain. And 3 double crochets. Slide 3 stitches over again and make your set of 3 double crochets. And you're just going to keep doing this all the way along your chain. So you can pause the video, slide 3 stitches over and make 3 double crochets around your chain all the way along until you reach the end of your row. So pause the video and I'll meet you when you get right over to the end of your chain right over here. So at the end of your row, we're going to make our last set of 3 double crochets into this chain space right here. Just go in and make 3 double crochets into that chain space just to finish off our row. Like that. And now I'm going to show you the repeat. So now it's a 1 row repeat from here on out, and you're really going to get going really nice and fast and enjoying this project a lot. So to start each row, we're always going to start with a chain 2 and turn your work. We're going to jump over this first set of shells, or this first granny stitch. We're going to jump over those 3 stitches, so it's a jump start, and 3 double crochets into the space. So just remember, jump start. You're jumping over that first set of shells, and now 3 double crochets into each space all the way along your row. You can pause the video, get all of your sets of 3 double crochets made into those spaces all the way along, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of your row right over here. At the end of your row, we have that space. So we do a jump start to get going. We jump over that first set, and then we do a full stop. So jump start and full stop. A full stop is a full set of 3 double crochets into that last space. So we're doing that for every row. Full stop to finish. So a full set of 3 double crochets into that last space, just like that. And then we're always going to do a jump start. Jump start for the new row, chaining 2, turning your work, jumping over this first set of stitches and making your first shell or your first set of 3 double crochets into the space. So jump start and full stop. That's going to help you remember what to do for this pattern. And now you can just pause the video and keep working along. For my blanket, I'm using a full ball of yarn, as many rows as I can, depending on that ball of yarn. They're all a little bit different. And once my ball of yarn is done, I'm going to change colors for my 2 rows of white here. So you can pause the video, keep working along till your ball of yarn is almost finished, and you can't do one more row, and then I'll show you how to change colors for this row of white if you're doing the same design as I am. When you are ready to change colors, we're going to do it at the very end of a row, so after your set of 3 double crochets, but we're not going to finish that last double crochet. So when you're making your last double crochet, we're going to start it, and we're going to take off our first 2 loops, and we're going to leave those last 2 loops on your hook. You can cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Get a new loop, or get a loop of your new color yarn and pop that onto your hook, and just hold both of those tails along the back of your work. Hold that tail along the back of your work, and just finish that double crochet with your new yarn, and drop your new tail as well. So you're holding 2 tails along the back of your work. Shrink that down and chain 2. Now don't worry if it looks all big and weird like that. We're going to fix that later, so don't even worry about it right now. Now you just continue with your patterns. We did our chain 2, turning your work, jump start. So we're going to make our first set of stitches after this first block, and just keep going with the pattern just like usual. And we're going to be sewing in these tails after the border, so I'll show you how to be doing that as well. But for now, just don't worry about them. They're just going to stay here on the side. So pause the video, keep working along, finishing up all of your colors and your stripes, and I will meet you when you are finished. When your blanket is the size you want it to be, you've run out of yarn, you've used up all of your colors of yarn, we are ready to finish off. We're just going to finish off right after that last double crochet at the end of your row. We're just going to chain 1, cut your yarn, and pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. So now I'm just going to show you how to sew in your ends. We just want to match the color of yarn with that area of our blanket. So we're going to be sewing white to white, or whatever colors you have, you're going to be sewing them where they match. And we don't want to pull too snug, but we do want to snug it up a bit. So just thread your first tail, and I'm going to bring it back down that same stitch right there. And it's underneath the fat part of that stitch. And we don't want to do that. See how I shrunk it all up and it got all tiny? We don't want that. We want it to stay matching the other stitches in that neighborhood. And I'm going to go through this first stitch. Well, not the first stitch, but I'm going to go through that stitch right there. And then underneath the next set of stitches. I don't want to sew it in right by the edge of the blanket. And you don't want to pull too snug. You want to keep that looking even on the edge. And now into the second cluster underneath those stitches, that's where we can sew it in back and forth 3 times. And these sharp tip needles really help. They are in my Amazon shop. They're a game changer for sure. And then you can cut that one off. And you basically want to do that for all of your tails. You want to match where it's coming from or follow where it's coming from and then sew it into the second cluster. So this one's going up. I'm going to go back up. And then underneath the first set of 3. Right at the edge. Up the next stitch. Get everything a little pull. We don't want anything too tight. And now underneath this set of stitches is where I can sew it in 3 times. So forwards, backwards, not in the same spot. You want to make sure you're grabbing a little bit of the yarn on each side. And then back, and we can cut that off. So you want to do that for all of your tails, just matching where that yarn is coming from. Just like that. Then I could pause the video and sew in all of your tails. And you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.